This is News 8 at 9 on WCTX.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Rich Capola. Chaos in the nation's capital tonight after rioters breached the U.S. Capitol. Right now, here's Amber Diaz with the very latest. Amber.
Rich, that violence forcing Congress into a lockdown, halting the votes to certify the Electoral College. Congress has since reconvened tonight. This is a live look at Washington, D.C. right now. Supporters of President Trump have taken to the streets for the second night, protesting what they say is a fraudulent election. Vice President Mike Pence speaking as they continue proceedings.
To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And may God bless the United States of America. Let's get back to work.
The United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats.
We can now add January 6th, 2021, to that very short list of dates in American history that will live forever in infamy.
A number of Republican senators doing an about-face after the attack at the Capitol, saying they won't object to Biden electors. We have not heard from President Trump since he took to Twitter earlier tonight in a video many saw as fanning the flames.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Now, in an unprecedented move, Twitter has banned the president from the social media platform for the next 12 hours after issuing those false claims of election fraud. Twitter is now threatening the president with permanent suspension. And Facebook just joined Twitter in blocking Trump from posting. President-elect Joe Biden speaking today, urging Trump to do something.
The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America. Do not represent who we are. It's chaos. It borders on sedition, and it must end now. I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege.
And happening now from coast to coast, protests in solidarity and counter-protests from New York to Oregon tonight. The country showcasing its division to the world. The fallout continues with the First Lady's Chief of Staff stepping down. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert in Washington with the latest.
One woman shot and killed. The nation's capital on lockdown. Lawmakers being told to hide under desks and in closets as the Capitol building is under siege by violent and angry pro-Trump demonstrators. Sources tell ABC a pipe bomb was found at the Republican National Committee headquarters in D.C. and was safely detonated by law enforcement. Members of Congress who were trapped inside the Capitol reacting to the chaos.
A little bit dicey with people banging at the doors of the House chambers.
Trump supporters from around the nation storming the Capitol, forcing evacuations as Congress ratifies President-elect Joe Biden's decisive Electoral College victory. And after both Republicans and Democrats calling on President Trump to do more to stop the violence, Trump finally releasing a video telling the violent protesters to go home, but not before continuing to stoke the flames by spreading the false claim that the election was stolen from him.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace.
Joe Biden slamming Trump's response.
I call on President Trump to go on national television now and defend the Constitution.
Leading up to the violence, Trump had been demanding Vice President Mike Pence somehow prevent Joe Biden's win after it had already been certified by the states.
If Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election.
But after 4 years of unwavering loyalty to Donald Trump, Pence showing defiance. In a statement before presiding over the ceremonial Electoral College event, Pence writing, vesting the vice president with unilateral authority to decide presidential contests would be entirely antithetical to the founders' vision laid out on the Constitution. Even with those violent demonstrations, Congress continuing that Electoral College ratification tonight. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Our team coverage continues now with an update from our local delegation who were in the Capitol building when rioters started storming the building. That's
right. News 8's Bob Wilson joins us live at the state capitol with what they saw. Bob.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking to a lot of the lawmakers. As a matter of fact, Senator Richard Blumenthal, we were on the phone with when he got the evacuation order and was evacuated. He was safe. We got on the phone with him, talked to him about it. Also, Representative Rosa DeLauro, she was in the gallery, in the House chambers when the shots rang out, when they were banging on the doors, when the glass exploded around them and had to be evacuated. She said she heard and knew something was wrong when they announced over the speaker that the Capitol had been penetrated.
They broke the glass. Everybody stay down. Get down.
The U.S. Capitol Police guns drawn at the door of the House chambers as rioters breached the Capitol complex. Representative Rosa DeLauro said Capitol Police immediately told lawmakers to grab their masks underneath their seats.
The protesters broke the glass in the doors and started to fire in to the chamber of the House. And so there was an exchange of gunshots there. And in the meantime, we're making our way around to try to get out. We're then told to drop to the floor, to get behind chairs, and to lie on the floor.
I am absolutely sickened by scenes of anarchist mob swarming violently through the Capitol. We evacuated the floor of the Senate and the chamber and went to a secure location.
And Congresswoman Jahana Hayes was in her office and went live on social media with the scene before her.
This is the scene outside my window. I had my son here with me in D.C., and he was looking out the window wondering why there are police everywhere and fire trucks and sirens, and this is not good. But we are safe here.
And there was a consensus among Connecticut lawmakers that we talked to. They believe the violence was triggered by President Donald Trump.
And we're going to finish our business and not let those. And it really is an attempted coup. And I don't say that lightly. An insurrection instigated by the President of the United States.
This mob violence was incited and fueled by the President of the United States and his enablers. This kind of armed insurrection is directly the result of his words.
And with all the protests and counter-protests going on across the country, here at the Capitol, here in the state of Connecticut, we reached out to the Capitol Police. They say they're prepared. They are ready for anything. They saw the barriers up from what happened earlier today with the protests, but they say they have no indication anything is coming. I'm Bob Wilson, reporting live at the Capitol, News 8.
I'm News 8's Shayna Ferreira here in New Haven, where the city of New Haven leaders, including the mayor, stood up against what many of them are calling an injustice and what others are calling a coup that was witnessed at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Mayor Elicker standing firm on his belief that what was witnessed was an act of domestic terrorism. He mentioned that it was unacceptable. He also pointed to the fact that there was not the same use of force that was witnessed over the summer during the Black Lives Matter protests that largely remained peaceful. He says this is an injustice, this is something that needs to be stopped, and he's hopeful that this will end once a new administration takes over. He says the people that were involved in this siege did not win.
Today was not successful for the individuals that took the Capitol. Today was not successful. And we will persevere. And New Haven is a place where we protest peacefully, we respect the rule of law, we respect democracy, and we respect each other.
Coming up at 10, you'll hear from the mayor along with the president of the NAACP and with reaction to what happened in D.C. In New Haven, Shayna Ferreira, News 8.
And several local leaders reacting to today's mayhem in D.C. on social media. Governor Ned Lamont taking to Twitter in a video this afternoon, directing his words straight at the president.
Mr. President, words have consequences, and your angry words have dangerous consequences. We're looking at the TV right now. Demand that your agitators stand down and respect the peaceful transfer of power.
State Rep Sean Scanlon tweeting, no Republican, be they Donald Trump or Ted Cruz, can say with a straight face that they denounce this violence. They caused this violence, an attack on our democracy, shameful and dangerous. And Connecticut State Senator Christine Cohen doubling down, reacting to Michigan Representative Dan Kildee's tweet, saying he was instructed to lie down on the floor and put a gas mask on. She calls it terrifying, saying, where is the president? Go out there and put an end to this. These are your people. And lastly, Attorney General William Tong releasing the following statement on the violent insurrection at the U.S. Capitol today, reading in part, this is no protest. This is a violent insurrection. We're under attack from within, figuratively and in fact. The terrorists, traitors, and enablers who instigated, aided, and abetted this coup, including those in Congress, must be held accountable and never walk these halls of democracy again.
And as that pro-Trump mob took over the Capitol, one of the big questions tonight is, why weren't police in Washington ready? Chris Haynes is an associate professor of political science at the University of New Haven. He said, let this be a lesson to leaders, to politicians, to be more responsible of what they say because of the potential for serious implications. As for today, he said, there just weren't enough Capitol Police to repel protesters determined to get into the building, and that there should have been mass riot police stationed around the Capitol. I asked him if he saw the same level of force that was being used during some Black Lives Matter protests around the country this past summer.
To me, as a layperson watching this unfold, that we need, that this protest needs to be handled in a much more aggressive fashion and should have been planned for. And is this because of race? Well, I mean, that's one thing that some people might suggest, and I don't think that they're very far off. That African Americans are treated in a very different way and much more aggressively by the criminal justice system, right? Than non-African Americans and white people.
Haynes also said that we had the Black Lives Matter protests and what he called the racial reckoning this past summer, but also that this is just one example of how things are different when you're talking about black and white. We'll be watching what's happening in Washington throughout the newscast. For live updates, go to News 8 app or WTNH.com.
I have asked you guys to wrap up. Don't have one of us.
All right, that right there, not good. That's one protester spitting on another in front of our own state capitol building today. On the opening day of the legislature, people gathered to speak out for their causes. The largest group there demanding the right not to get their kids vaccinated, feeling it would put them at risk.
Where there is risk, there needs to be choice. Whether you're arguing about a COVID-19 vaccine, an older vaccine that is on the CDC list, there are risks to every medical procedure.
Now, during this protest, the governor gave his State of the State address. And this session, lawmakers are expected to tackle several issues, including sports betting, internet gaming, and legalized marijuana, as well as COVID-19.
Faster transportation options which incentivize a move to all electric vehicles, a zero-carbon electric grid, and stronger protections against cyber attacks. Sports betting, internet gaming, legalized marijuana, they're all happening all around us. Let's not surrender these opportunities to out-of-state markets, or even worse, to underground markets.
This session will happen virtually because of the pandemic.
Massachusetts say the more contagious COVID variants may already be there. What precautions the state's now taking.
This as more first responders get the COVID vaccine today. Their message to the public about the shot.
And a local cheese queen taking on the grudge match on the Food Network's Chopped. We talked to her about the competition on Nyberg at 9.